This is our friend who we called and picked up the phone.
Well,
what
about that?
What about that?
It's about you, Mark.
What'd I do?
Anybody who wears the Dodger uniform can't be my friend. You can't be my friend.
While they're wearing the uniform. I said it to Sergio Romo. I'm going to X that year out, and I'm not talking to FP.
Bring him in.
Yeah, FP Santangelo. You know that, right? If you were on the Dodgers right now, I would not talk to you.
I was a good Giant on the Dodgers. I hit below 200. I did my job.
It's a sabotage. FP sabotage.
I went down there. I was a spy. I got all the info. I played like crap. I was a good Giant down there. I did what I had to do.
And a babe.
And so we're friends.
Okay.
You see how that works? Was that so hard?
Now batting, Benedict Arnold.
Dude, seriously though, seriously, and we'll be done with this after this. Like, I knew the second I put I'd grown up a Giants fan in Northern California. They gave me a nice 2-year deal. I knew the second I put that uniform on in Vero Beach that I'd made a mistake, and I paid for it for 7 months. I was miserable down there. There was a guy named TJ Simers in the LA Times that was crushing me all year. Nobody hung out away from the ballpark. My wife at the time had to talk me into going to the field 3 different times that year. Imagine you're playing at Dodger Stadium, you're a Dodger, and your wife is having to talk you into getting in the car and going to the field. So I was miserable, and I paid the price big time, and I sucked. So yeah, I was a good Giant down there.
I've never been prouder to call you a friend. Not only because you sabotaged the Dodgers organization, but now like we could take shots at TJ Simers together. I think some of our listeners might know who he's retired now, columnist. He took shots at me when I was like a pup on the radio.
Oh, boy.
I know him personally, and I have no problem saying this, FP. He's a jerk. Seems like he's a total jerk.
At the time, it affected me. I guess I was mentally weak at the time. But now, being part of the media, he was just. I guess he was trying to get clicks before there was clicks. I don't know. Whatever.
Totally.
I'm not gonna breathe any TJ Simers into existence here. He's not worth my breath. Right?
Yeah, that's well said. All right, how about Austin Slater? Let's talk about him. Is he ever going to play for the Giants again? What do they do when he's healthy based on what's happening?
Wait, I'm moving. I'm in the middle of a move.
Yeah.
And I said I would come on with you guys today. The Giants have their 2 greatest comebacks ever after their worst defeat ever. And the first question you're going to ask me is about Austin Slater?
You're damn right.
Yeah, it's awkward.
Yeah, but it's...
Wait, why?
Because
that has nothing to do with anything right now.
Sure it does. It has everything to do with exactly what you just said. The Giants are playing so well, and I think our listeners and Giants fans are worried that these guys are still at risk of being sent back down.
Okay, well, if that's the angle, then don't worry about it, because when you come up to the highest level and you perform like Elliot Ramos and Luis Matos, and you've added a new energy and electricity to between the lines, in the dugout, in the clubhouse, on the plane, on the bus, and all of a sudden it's got a different vibe to it, and the team is feeling great about themselves, and it just feels different. I'm sorry, but this game is a "what have you done for me lately" game, and if those guys are performing and somebody's hurt and those guys are performing, I mean, in an ideal world, they're going nowhere. And I think if you ask Bob Melvin, he'd probably tell you the same thing.
Yeah, and coming off that series where it felt like they lost all 3 games, and then turns out they won 2 or 3 because they had unbelievable rallies, and Matt Chapman is locked in. But I want to ask you about Marco Luciano, FP, and him playing shortstop. And I know the bat's been pretty good, but when you see him out there on defense at short, what do you think about that?
Probably the same thing everybody else is thinking. I hope he makes the play. And here's the general terms. You can go to San Jose and watch the shortstop for the San Jose Giants make the Derek Jeter play in the hole, jump up in the air, throw across his body, and you're like, oh my God, that'd be top 10 on SportsCenter. You could also watch an A-ball shortstop boot a 4-hopper to him. The difference between a minor league defender and a big league defender is the routine play is routine, meaning they make it look so easy. We go to the game every day, and it's a ground ball to short, and I'm already marking 6-3 in my scorebook before the ball's even across the infield, and that's the big leagues. The big leagues is making the routine play. Yeah, the backhand play or the diving play, that gets us all excited, But, if I make a good pitch as a pitcher and I'm pitching to weak contact and there's a 4-hopper to short or third or second or wherever, and that play's got to be made. And the plays Matt Chapman's making right now, the ridiculous plays, I've never seen a third baseman like this ever, guys. But getting back to the question, Luciano, it's got to be a routine play. Brett Wisely yesterday, first chance he had was a in-between hop on the outfield grass behind second base. There's a little tricky hop at the end, and he just soft glove. He got his feet underneath him, made a nice throw. He had a nice game yesterday. I'm not trying to start a shortstop controversy, but he had a nice game yesterday, and that was fun to watch. With Luciano, he got bailed out by Patrick Bailey yesterday. That was a great throw, and I don't know if it's the ninth inning or he's thinking too much or the game's moving too fast, but the feet get a little stagnant for me. It's almost like a defender in the NBA or a DB or a linebacker in the NFL. No matter what sport you're playing, you got to have quick feet. And you got to anticipate. And he gets a little stiff with his lower half. And then once the feet stop moving, I think I told you guys this the other day, the glove stops moving, and the glove has the tendency to get real hard once the feet stop. And then instead of you picking out the hop you want to go get, you're at the mercy of whatever hop you do get. And sometimes you get that in between hop. Sometimes your glove gets a little when your feet it does. When your feet stop, your glove goes. But if you're moving, your glove stays soft. You pick out the hop, and I think he has a tendency to be a little stagnant with the lower half, for lack of a better term.
We can be friends, and he is our friend, FP Santangelo, with us here on Willard and Dibs 95.7 The Game. Okay, what do you think about this idea? When Nick Ahmed gets healthy, he is a sometimes starter, but also most times late inning defensive replacement. But outside of that, Luciano keeps the gig because offense, excitement, marketing, these things matter too.
Wow, that's a job title to have for a bench player.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but I know what you're saying. Yeah, he could definitely. Hey, Nick Ahmed makes the routine play look routine, and he makes the tough play look easy. I'm a big Nick Ahmed fan. I loved what he brings to the ball club. East Coast guy, he's got some grit to him. Adds a little bit of offense here and there, but I think mostly Nick would be great if the pitcher still hit. He'd be the ideal eighth place hitter because his job would be to turn the lineup over, right? Take a walk with 2 strikes in the eighth place, get the pitcher up, get on base a couple of times, whatever. But unfortunately for him, it's the DH now, and he's going to hit ninth. I don't know. It depends what they're looking for from that position. It depends what Bob Melvin and Farhan want from that position. Because if they want offense, they're probably going to lean toward letting Luciano do what he does and see what he does. If they want every single play made, they're going to go with Ahmed and Brett Wisely and whomever. So it's just based on where they're at in the standings, who's pitching, what they want, matchups. A lot more goes into it than just like Luciano's our shortstop or Ahmed's our shortstop. I think you cross that bridge when you come to it, when Nick Ahmed comes back, and we'll see what they decide. But I think that's still a couple of weeks off.
Yeah, and talking about crossing bridges when we come to it, the Austin Slater one's big as far as Elliot Ramos goes. Do you think that he's done enough so far in this small sample to be able to at least hold off Austin Slater as the starter against lefties?
Yeah, I think Elliot Ramos is going to play, and Michael Conforto would be the concern with Ramos more than Austin Slater. Michael Conforto can hit, and he might be their best hitter besides Lamont Wade Jr., who's having an all-star season so far. Incredible what he's done. So we'll see what Conforto does to Ramos, but like Mike Yastrzemski's not tearing it up. Austin Slater wasn't tearing it up, and far from it when he went on the DL. Conforto was. So I think those are all things you have to take into consideration and where you want to go and how long you're going to go with Yastrzemski and right. And does Ramos move over there? And does Conforto go to left? Like, there's all kinds of things, but you don't cross those bridges, Dibs, until you come to them because there could be injuries. There could be things that happen before that. So it's hard to anticipate. What I would say, and this is a general term, and maybe this is sharing too much information on the radio, but the Latin contingency with the Giants has added life and electricity and vibe and swagger with how they act on the field, how they act off the field, how they act in the dugout, and how they perform. And there's just a different vibe to the clubhouse. There's a different energy on the airplane. They got on the plane the other day, and it was like, wow. They just had that great series against the Rockies, and there was life, man. And I turned to whoever I was sitting next to, and I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's what I'm talking about. They're having fun. They're loud. They're laughing. Guess what, guys? Baseball is fun. Broadcasting baseball is fun. We're all in the fun industry, and those guys are having fun. They've added a different dimension to this team, and I will be the president of their fan club. I was getting on Tyro because he wore these fluorescent orange cleats Friday and Saturday, got a bunch of hits, hit a home run against the Rockies, and then Sunday he decided to go with these orange and white Air Jordan-looking cleats, and he went over. And I said, Tyro, the Naranjas, where did the Naranjas go? And he goes, I know. So he put the Naranjas back on the first game against the Pirates, and he went deep. I'm like, you have to dance with the lady that brought you. If the orange cleats are working, you stick with them. But just, for example, those things I just said, I'm really excited about this group. Soler, he's starting to hit. Matos and Ramos, and even Flores has had some great at bats the last series. So they're adding swagger and fun in a different dimension of this team, and I'm all for it.
Oh man, I love what you just said. I think everybody's been waiting for that. And now there's another guy who I think has been a swag guy, and we were excited to see him come back. Mixed results. What did you see with Blake Snell's first start back?
I don't know. He's still searching. I saw better velocity. He was throwing 96. He wasn't landing the curveball, wasn't landing the slider, and I think from a hitter's standpoint, those have to be thrown for strikes. So I have to look for him occasionally, and not just the fastball. If you're throwing one pitch for a strike, I can eliminate those. The one thing about Blake Snell is I told you guys this in spring training. He's going to be a guy that makes you pull your hair out. It's going to be 3 walks and then 3 strikeouts. But he just hasn't gotten to that point yet. Now he's on the paternity list, and hopefully, that congratulations to him with the birth of his first child, and that's great. But then, the DL and getting there late, and then the paternity list, and I'm just hoping he starts to get into a groove and a rhythm and a routine. Hard to do that when you sign late. Hard to do that when you get hurt and go play in the minor leagues for a little bit. Hard to do that when you get back. And then, none of this is his fault, but, maybe the signing late thing is, but the other things, so he's got to get into a groove, into a rhythm where he feels like he's a giant. I don't know if he feels like he's a giant yet. Our third baseman feels like he's a giant all of a sudden. You could tell the difference. Things have slowed down for him. He's not trying to impress all of his teammates or the fan base or his coaches. He's going out there and being Matt Chapman right now. And I'll tell you what, I've been around a lot of great third basemen, guys. I haven't seen anything like what he's doing right now. I'm talking defensively alone. Forget about the great base running and all the home runs. The Giants have a chance. Well, Luis Ariz, but the Giants have a chance to have back-to-back National League Players of the Week. We'll see.
And you mentioned Matt Chapman defensively, and he's made some eye-popping plays, but what has he done at the plate adjustment-wise, FP, that's gotten him from being in a deep, deep funk to where he's the hottest hitter in baseball now?
Oh, man, I might blow up the clock here with this one. But
let's
blow
go.
It up
Let's
on
go.
A 4-day weekend. Blow that ass up.
As a former hitting coach, he's early and slow and soft with his stride. And he talked about it in the post-game interview the other day. He was late, and when you're late with your stride, now you're playing catch up. The ball's on top of you, and it's in the zone, and he was having trouble getting on top of the high fastball because he was late. So now if you watch his setup, he's getting his foot down nice and early, and it's soft and slow. When you're late, that stride leg it hits hard, and when it hits hard, now my head moves. And when it hits hard, the ball's on top of me. So if you're early and slow, and you're almost like you're stepping on an egg, and it's soft, now your head stays still, you're on time. And that 95, 96 at the top of that box we look at every night, the one he was swinging through, and you're like, lay off the high fastball, damn it. He's getting on top of that now because he's on time. He's catching it out front, and he's hitting it far. So all of a sudden you get a couple of hits. What happens? Your body relaxes.
Yeah.
You start to perform a little bit. You start to have confidence, and all those negative thoughts and all those tense muscles become tension-free. And right now he's got tension-free barrel release. He's getting his foot down nice and slow and soft, and he's catching up to everything. Oh. If he stays this hot all year, he got a chance to be, one of the best players in the league. For the 3 days in Pittsburgh, you guys, and Dave said this yesterday, so I'm stealing from him. There was no better player in the game of baseball than the last 3 days in Pittsburgh than Matt Chapman.
FP, we had to dim the lights there, soft and slow.
Well, how about this?
Getting on top.
No, this might be.
My God.
This is already, and this is going to be the name of my fantasy team this year. Tension-free barrel release.
Tension-free barrel release.
That is a sensual phrase.
We had to dump half that answer.
Yeah.
My God.
Hey, dude, half a hitting is feeling sexy.
Dude,
when you get in the box.
Who are you with right now? Good God, what's happening over there?
Man.
Jason Giambi used to say there's like 40,000 people looking at my butt, man. I got to be sexy when I get in the box. And if I don't feel sexy with remember he had like the wet hair, the wet mullet. Yeah. So you got to feel sexy, and right now Matt Chapman's feeling super sexy.
FP after dark in the afternoon. My God,
I know what FP stands for now.
Yeah.
All right, buddy.
Wait, final pitch. I guess after every game.
Not today. Not today.
I didn't know I had a show, but that's good.
Yeah,
excited about that.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're trying to sell it, and you'll get a piece anyway. You'll get the final piece, FP.
Good.
That's right.
Good luck with your project today.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks for having me on. It's good to hear your voices.
Always, buddy. We'll see you soon. All right, there he goes.